Welcome to Too Many Tabs, the podcast where a husband and wife sit across from each other. But this week, there's a special twist. What is the special twist? That's right, we have a guest. Oh my God, a guest here in the studio? Who could it be? Well, they're not here yet.
No, they're not here yet.
They're not here yet.
They're on their way.
They're on their way.
Also, you called it a studio. That's fun.
Yeah, it's, you know what?
I like it.
We're growing.
You know, it's like when you like are putting it out into the universe. What's that called? Like we're vision boarding it.
Manifesting.
We're manifesting a studio.
We're manifesting a studio. We're gonna get there one step at a time. But first, we have to hit this intro.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.
We're back with another episode here, Mrs. P, and we have a special guest, and that she will be up here shortly.
Yep. We're gonna have to rip the baby out of her arms for this.
It's gonna be very difficult. Because, y'all, you've requested it.
There have been inbox. There have been comments. There have been messages directed at us on all platforms.
Yeah.
Bring back Magistra.
And Magistra is here. She is in the building.
Mm-hmm.
She is currently downstairs getting her baby time for just enough so we can tear the baby away from her, hand her off to my dad, and hand him off to my dad, and then get her up here where she's going to teach us all about Roman cooking.
I know. I'm very excited. She does like a competition back when she was teaching.
Back when she was teaching, she did a competition, and she actually went ahead and gave us the list that we're going to be adding onto our Patreon, which we'll mention again later in the episode.
Award-winning recipes.
Award-winning recipes, yes. It's about 5 different recipes that the ancient Romans ate.
Yeah, ancient Roman. That's what we're talking about. Ancient Roman food today.
Yeah,
that's the topic.
Yeah.
What did they eat? Why? And is it going to be weird?
Yeah, it's going to be weird.
It's going to be weird.
It's going to be weird because I know her, and we've had many talks over the years.
You know her.
I know her very well. And I also know the ancient Romans, and they were some of their stuff was fucking bizarre.
Okay.
But let's get into some just updates for this week. My shows are coming up soon.
I know.
I'm soon going to be in Portland.
Yep.
And I just checked. Portland tickets have been going fast. So if you are thinking about going, you should get those tickets immediately.
Yep.
That's, I think, a 4:30 show. And then that's June 8th. Mm-hmm. And then I'll be in Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
That is a Thursday, 8 p.m. show.
Nice.
Which is another great show. We have a ton of tickets are still available for that one. Please go check it out. And then also, I'm going to be in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yep.
For those first 2 shows I mentioned, I'm going to be with Satoyo, and then the Phoenix show, I will be with some local openers.
Ooh,
so we're excited for that. And then
locals.
after that, getting into July, there's Austin, and then
I
San
can't believe it's
Diego.
almost June.
I know.
I was looking at the calendar and I was like, how did this happen?
I know.
It was February 1 minute ago.
It was, well, every day the baby steals more of our brain. And that's been the thing.
That's fine.
That's
I don't
been
need
the
it.
thing.
I don't need it.
No,
what am I
know.
doing with it?
This week we haven't been doing much because we knew that Magistra was going to be bringing us these facts about Roman food plus these recipes and a few other things. So it's going to be a really great time. We're very excited for it. Again, our YouTube is now live, so if you ever want to see my facial reactions during an episode like this where I'm just blown away the entire time, you can see that on YouTube, or you can see that without commercials, without advertisements, on our Patreon, patreon.com/Pearlmania500 or Pearlmania500.net to join and become a team leader today. So with that, Mrs. P, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we get started?
Warning.
Oh, yeah, no.
Warning?
Yeah, warning.
If you get grossed out by stuff that has to do with food or body parts or things like that, just know that that's going to come up.
Yeah, basically, if the idea of how animals are prepared for food, I think that's the best way to put it.
If you ever Googled like sausage and you're like, whoa, that's gnarly.
Yeah.
There's going to be some flags up for that type of stuff because she did kind of give me an overview.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, that's something.
Yeah. She gave us a little baseline, and it's my mom, so I can't really tell her to tone it down.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You can't do it.
We've tried many times.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to get started with the episode. We're going to go downstairs, go grab her, bring her up here, rip the baby from her arms, and get this thing going. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. And we're back. We're here.
Yep.
We're ready.
Stay ready.
She's finally in the room.
We got her.
We got her. She's been downstairs doing baby time. We're like, you promised to come up here and talk about this.
Put down the baby and get up here.
And she did. She put down the baby. She's sitting right here.
The baby is being guarded by another adult. Another trusted adult.
The baby is not alone. But she's here. Magistra is here, everybody. Say hi, Mom.
Hi.
Hi. How are you feeling?
Wonderful.
You're feeling good?
I got to see Pearlmania.
Yeah, Pearlmania.
Pearlmania.
Yep. Yeah, so we're doing good up here, and today's this very special episode because a lot of listeners for a very long time have said they loved having you on the show, and they wanted to hear you back, and they wanted to hear your voice, and they loved you talking shit on me.
Yeah, that was it. I think that was
That
big
was the
highlight.
best part.
I think that was the highlight. Big highlight.
They really enjoyed me getting tag teamed by the two most important women in my life.
Yeah.
So we're here. We have Mrs. Pearlmania. We have Magistra Pearlmania,
Yep.
and today's episode is going to be on the cooking habits of ancient Romans.
Right.
Yeah.
And all their foods and all that other stuff. And just like we said in the last episode, we always like to point out something, which is a few things, which is that Mrs. P and I are just kind of two schlubs on the internet who have associate's degrees from community college.
Exactly.
We do our research on things and then we talk about them on the internet.
Yeah.
But my mom actually is an expert when it comes to a lot of this stuff because you have an archaeology degree.
Yep.
Yes.
And you were a Latin teacher in the, I will just say, a state of New Jersey.
Yes.
For a very long time. I'm not giving them great
And
status.
I have a master's degree, too.
You have a master's degree.
How dare you not bring up the master's
I
degree?
was going to get into the specifics. So you taught specifically a lot about Roman cooking in a bunch of after-school programs, other things that you did with the Classical League and a few other things that you had over there at your school.
Yes, because the state competition, they had a Roman foods competition, and I'm very competitive.
Yes.
What?
And there were 12 prizes, and I wanted to win all 12.
And did you?
I think we might have 1 year, but I know for multiple years we hit between 7 and 10.
7
That's
and 10.
a great percentage out of 12.
Yeah.
I'm
Out
gonna
of
be
12
honest
is
with
pretty
you.
good.
It's a pretty good percentage.
So we are here. I have beyond Roman food. I have no idea what else.
I have no idea what this is.
what
I'm
else you're
excited
gonna
because
do.
I love a recipe.
I'm also excited because it's been about 6 months since someone else has told us anything. It's been the two of us going back and forth about topics.
Yeah.
So, Magistra Pearlmania,
Yes.
the floor is yours.
Well, Roman foods were interesting to me because when you teach Latin all day, kids don't like reading, translating sentences and whatever. So when something came up in the book and something came up about food, I'm like, well, I don't know what the Romans ate. And I, unlike other people, are interested in what like ordinary people ate. Also, like the crazy people like today, like what do rich people eat today? Well, what did rich Romans eat? And like what kind of, how are they different than us? And what spices did they use? And there's two that come to mind that people always talk about. One is they ate rich people. They ate dormice.
Rich people?
Yeah. Would eat
The
dormice.
wealthy ate mice?
Yeah, they ate mice because what it was considered a delicacy, and they actually raised them. They're dormice. It's not DOOR. It's DORMOUSE. It's a dormouse. And they actually raised them. And then in the winter, you see, they would kind of hibernate and they wouldn't eat. So what they would do is they built these little stone jars that actually had like a long ramp so they could like perch on them. And they would feed them acorns and all sorts of stuff to fatten them up. And then what they would do is they would slice them open and they would then they'd take the mouse meat out and mix it with pork because I'll get to that later. And then
Wait, hold on. Stop. Wait, we got to slow down.
There was a TikTok about this. Remember that lady who made the seafood boil, but she used a mouse? Do you remember this?
No.
Was that on your TikTok feed?
No, that was never on my feed.
I feel like doesn't have a TikTok, and that's for good reason.
No, that's for very good reason.
My algorithm, like last month, time doesn't exist on TikTok, so this could have been 2 days ago. I don't know. There was a gal who was like doing like a cooking thing, and she's like, I feel like she called it a seafood boil or an ocean boil or something.
Yeah.
And she was like, it had like chicken and in quotes seafood, and then she's like, and I put mouse in it. And then it was like she just caught a mouse and put it, and then the whole internet went crazy because they're like, you're gonna get sick. And then
you're gonna get hantavirus.
The next TikTok she made, she had this huge rash going up her neck, and she's like, I don't know where I got this rash. And people are like, you got hantavirus. And then she like had to make all these response TikToks, but she was clearly like, maybe doesn't have full capacity. It was one of those things where like you were just in shock and horror that this woman ate a mouse. But now I know it's a rich people thing.
It's one, okay. But you were basically getting into like crab stuffed shrimp almost level.
Yeah. Right.
We're going to take pork and shove it into a mouse.
Right. And mix it with mouse meat and nuts.
And this right here, just for everybody out there, I want to point out, this is the reason why kosher and halal exist.
Yeah.
Because there were people,
They were crazy.
Italian people, who were like, we're going to show some pork in a mouse.
Yeah.
And we're going to eat it as we conquer the world. So, okay. So I'm still stuck on, what's the difference between a dormouse and a regular mouse?
They are a little bit bigger than a field mouse.
Okay.
And they're supposed to be more squirrel-like, but whatever.
Squirrel-like?
Yeah, but I mean, that's what they
That
say.
was your North Carolina came
I know.
You did not. Mrs. P can't pronounce H's sometimes when she's mad.
Right.
You squirrel just was missed on you completely.
Okay.
I know the word you can't say.
Right.
So they're more squirrel-like. So they're a little bit bigger.
They're a little bigger.
So they're
Gotta
kind
go
of
meat.
But it's like guinea pigs.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it was in Peru, they eat guinea pigs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
South America.
Okay.
So anyway, what they did was then they would stuff them with the stuff, and then they would, stitch them back up or whatever, and then roast them. Wait a minute. And then roast them. And then when they were finished roasting them, they would cover them in honey and poppy seeds and serve them.
No, because I was picturing it like a stuffed shrimp, okay?
Yeah.
Like
or
where
like
it's
a stuffed
open?
clam. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's
it's
open.
open.
Or like a chicken cordon bleu where
Yeah.
you see the inside. So
Well,
I
maybe
I
it
was
is.
picturing almost like a mouse baked potato where like
Yeah.
it's like a potato and then
Yeah,
there's like
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. There's stuff-
But
it's
then you just
brimming.
said they stitched it
Well,
back
I'm not
up.
real clear on this.
What
That's
in
the part. That's the part
Dexter?
I thought
Hold on.
because they stitched up. I mean, they actually closed up other animals. I'll explain that in a bit. But
Wait,
because
they're turduckening mice?
I'm assuming they did, but maybe they had them open. But anyway, they
Like a
dipped
baked
them.
potato.
But they had to roast them, and then they rolled them in honey and put poppy seeds on them, and people thought they were really wonderful.
So it's kind of like a sweet, salty treat.
And these are the people that guys who are always screaming about how we need to return to the
Yeah, Return to
tradition.
Kings. Return to
Right,
Kings.
right.
Yeah, these are the guys they want to be like. They just want to be eating mice dipped in
Look
honey.
what they've taken from us. Look what they've taken from
No,
us.
hold on. Let me put a white statue in my profile picture real fast.
Listen, don't get her started.
Okay.
She'll tell you
Yeah.
that those weren't all white
I
statues.
know. They were.
Yeah, they
painted.
were not. They were painted. But anyway,
So okay. So we're stitching up dormice.
well, we're assuming we're stitching them. Maybe they left them open like they said, but they did stuff them.
Now,
they
why
did
are we
roast
assuming?
them.
Why are we assuming?
Well, I didn't. I don't know everything you're going to ask me. So they
Well, I know
really
that,
said
but,
that.
but you and I had a conversation about it, and you said we were talking about how like we have some steps, we don't have every step. Is one
Right,
thing you were
right,
telling
right,
me about
right,
with the
right.
recipes and things like
Right,
that.
right.
So yeah, that's the leading question I'm trying to lead you to here, Mom.
Okay. Well, let's go to the recipes. How
Yeah.
do we know where the recipes come from? Because in ancient times, apparently, there were a lot of cookbooks.
Okay.
However, only one real cookbook remains, and his name was Apicius. But you can assume that it's sort of like Betty Crocker. Like, who was Betty Crocker?
Wait, his name was Apicius?
Is that why they call them
Apicius.
picky eaters?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But his name was Apicius. Well, there was a real Apicius who was very, very wealthy, and it was, loved food. And so the story goes by Seneca that when he got down to, he had $60 million, dollars. Think of it that way. And when he got down to his last 10, he was like, I don't have enough to live on to eat the food that I need to eat. So he killed himself. And then afterwards, cooks and people would call themselves Apicius. Like you would name yourself like Betty Crocker, right?
Okay.
Chef Boyardee.
So the book that we have left, and there's a couple of copies of it, dates probably back to the 4th or 5th century AD, but the recipes go back further because they have a herb in there that doesn't exist anymore and didn't exist then.
Oh wow. Okay.
So the Romans, speaking of pillaging and raping, when they got to North Africa, they discovered, as they conquered peoples,
Yeah.
they discovered all these herbs and spices. So they started getting spices from the Far East and getting
Yep.
spices. So in North Africa, there was this thing called silphium.
Okay.
And it was very prized. It's this very pungent odor. And the closest thing to it today is a herb in like Turkey or something. And it's called asafoetida, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, it's very pungent. And so it only grew in in dry areas.
In
okay?
like North Africa.
And
yeah.
it was in Cyrene, which is Libya, which is
Okay.
modern Libya. And Libya, at one point, it was so important to their economy that it was actually on their coins.
Okay.
But it wasn't something you could easily grow. The Romans tried,
Yeah.
and they actually made it extinct. And the last piece was found and given to the Emperor Nero,
Oh wow.
Wow.
and he ate the last known piece.
Oh wow. And that just,
I hate and like one that's baller.
Yeah,
but
it
also that really messed up.
yeah.
Like propagate that, put it in a little cup of water, and let's get that growing.
Well,
Don't
they
eat
tried,
it.
but it for
Yeah.
some reason it only grew in a certain
areas.
and they didn't know how to propagate it. And
And
instead
they
of trying to
hunted
figure
down
out,
every seed.
they did. They hunted because it was so prized.
Yeah.
And it
So
would
delicious.
last. I mean, they actually had a thing when you had a piece of it. What you could do, one of the recipes was you put pine nut kernels in with whatever piece you have, and it will actually season those. And then you put them in your recipe. Then you just add more pine nut.
It's like when I put a vanilla bean in a jar of sugar, so that my sugar gets vanilla scented.
Yeah, it's the same sort of idea.
Also, but rich because pine nuts. That's rich. That's
Yeah.
expensive.
well, the Romans used a lot of pine nuts,
They had
but they have a
money.
lot of pine trees.
Yeah.
But pine nuts are very
They
expensive.
also didn't. They also didn't pay most of their employees.
Yeah, they
Ah,
did.
yeah.
There
You
is
know,
that.
We'll
There's
put it
that,
that way.
yeah. There's
that.
We'll put it that way. Okay, so that's how we know where these recipes came from and
Right.
everything else.
But wait, there's a problem.
Pickiest.
There's a
Okay,
problem.
there's a
Okay, there's a problem.
Because when he wrote the cookbook, all he does is he tells you what's in it. He doesn't give you any amounts.
Oh, it's like the Great British Bake Off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just
When they
tell
do
you,
that,
like,
they just give you
yeah.
the list of ingredients, and you got to
Yeah.
figure out how to make it.
Yeah.
Right. So nobody knows. So the people who have done the modern cookbooks who try to like help you, like some of the recipes I've got, they've actually cooked it and tried to figure that out. Like
Okay.
how much would you use? And
Yeah.
then their tastes are so different than us because if we get off the dormice, we've got another problem.
Yeah.
Which is garum.
Garum.
Like
Garum.
marsala.
Garum it's like a Thai fish sauce
Okay.
called, I forgot, Nok Nam or Mom or something. Anyway, it's a Thai fish sauce now. But what they did was they took usually like little sardines or little anchovies. Anchovies were considered inferior, but so they got a clay pot. And what they did was they put a layer of herbs, and they give you all these herbs, and then they put a layer of fish.
Okay.
Then they put like they say 2 fingers worth of salt.
Okay.
Then
That's
you
a lot
repeat.
Of salt.
Then you repeat all the way up to the top.
Okay, so we're fermenting.
Then you
this
seal
fish.
it. Yes, you
Yeah.
ferment the fish, and then you leave it in there for 7 days, and then you
In a
open
clay
it
pot in
in
Rome.
the sun, in the
Rome.
sun,
In
the sun.
Italy. Yeah.
in
okay.
Italy in the sun. And then after 7 days, you start stirring it every few days, and you leave it for another 20. And what happens is not only does it ferment, but the fish actually, the bones and stuff actually disintegrate.
Yeah.
And it makes like
From
a
the salt.
paste, like a paste.
Fish paste.
And then if you pour off the liquid,
Okay.
you could actually use it as a sauce to cook with, or you use it like we use ketchup. They put it on everything.
Oh
And
my
it's
god.
incredibly.
So it's like
It's
a
their
fishy,
Frank's. It's their
a-
Frank's Red Hot.
It's like
Yeah.
fishy soy sauce.
Yes.
But so they got a fishy soy sauce because it's so salty. So it's
Yeah.
really salt heavy.
It's really salty.
and then you get the fish paste, which is like the side effect. You get 2 for 1 out of this clay jar.
yeah.
Yeah. So the paste you could use. It's unclear. Like you could use.
You could smear it like
smear it. Yeah.
on toast like a
It's Vegemite.
Vegemite. Yeah,
But
Yeah.
it's very.
pungent.
But he says
Pungent.
fermented as well. So like, would you get a little lid off yet? Like, could you?
I feel like you wouldn't get lit. I
Like
feel like it's kombucha. Yeah.
Okay.
Or there's like a fermented fish from like Sweden, right? It comes in a can.
There
is. It's real
everything
stinky.
in the Arctic Circle is just fermented fish.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Like
fermented fish.
the more night you have, the more fish
You're like, we
you
got
ferment.
time. Let that fish sit.
Yeah. All right. So garum.
Garum, and they
All
put
right.
it on everything.
They put that shit
Okay,
on
so that's
everything.
their
And so-
Frank's Red Hot.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
they-
their ranch.
I just picked-
No, honestly, that's their ranch.
That's their ranch.
Okay.
So they're dipping their little baked potato mouse covered in poppy seeds
Yeah,
into
the
their
garum.
little.
You could.
You dip a nuggie into ranch.
Yeah,
You
they're
could.
they're imperial mouse meat.
They're imperial mouse nuggies.
Yeah. But mom, I just want buttered noodles.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Shut up. I'm sticking all this other stuff on there.
Noodles haven't been
It took me
invented yet.
20 days to make this fish paste.
Yes.
You're going to eat it.
You will. I will put it on whatever kind of meat I have.
Yeah.
Could you imagine living down the street from the garum factory?
Nope. No, thank you.
And by the way, there were prized area around Pompeii, the area around the Galilee Sea, the Sea of Galilee was, and Spain produced some really good stuff. And sometimes they would cut it with wine or water, like you could dilute it to make it
The garum.
to make
Yeah.
it less pungent.
Yeah. Do we have any records of? I know you might not know it, but do we have any records of like other people's like being like this shit's gross? Because
No.
I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like they would like I don't know.
Yeah.
They meet like a Persian, and a Persian's like, dude, what the fuck
Is
are
this?
you
you
doing
guys
to the fish?
stink.
Yeah, because like the
Yeah.
Romans are very famous for being clean because of the baths and
Yeah,
all this
yeah,
different
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But then on the other side of it, they're rubbing fish paste on fucking everything.
Yeah.
That is the grossest sounding shit I've
Well,
heard in
it
a while.
is to us, but
Yeah, I
understand
know.
they like stuff either really sour or very sweet. Now, there could be a reason for it, of course.
Okay, what's the reason?
Well, what were their pipes made out of?
Lead.
Yes.
Okay, so they
So they
don't-
had lead poisoning.
Okay.
And what happens when you have lead poisoning?
You
well,
vote
you run the
Republican?
government.
Yeah, no.
Wow, we hit so many at the same time.
You're actually you don't have a great sense of taste.
Oh.
Well, yeah. Again,
Well-
it just goes back to what we
you
said.
lose your sense of taste.
No, I've seen
It's brain damage.
I've seen refrigerators from the 70s.
Yeah.
Like those colors are awful.
Hey, I disagree.
Oh,
I
really?
like that 70s green.
Yeah?
It's like
Oh,
real murky.
yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you don't remember in the house in Bethel, we had that green, we had all that awful green refrigerator, and we were going to wait till it died, and it never did. So we gave it away. We gave it away to
Imagine
somebody.
having appliances that you could wait till
Yeah,
death.
I mean, it was
Then
like
it
it was
makes
like literally we got it. It came
Meanwhile-
with the house.
Meanwhile,
it was
we're
probably 20 some years old. It wouldn't die.
Meanwhile, we're downstairs on our knees with our Samsung fridge, chipping
I have
ice
to-
out of the
I have
base.
to use my meat mallet once a month to slam all the ice out of it because
Yeah.
it's such a broken fridge.
Yeah, we have a bunch of things lined up. So the dog gets his heartworm pill.
Right.
Clear the ice from the base of the fridge.
Yeah. Right.
And there's a few other things
Yeah,
that we have to do. It's like
it's a
like
monthly.
This, yeah, this
First
is
day of the month.
First day of the month. Here we go.
Right.
Pay the mortgage. Do what? Knock off all these other different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So because they have lead poisoning,
Maybe.
and they're allegedly have
There's no allegedly. They
no,
had lead
they-
poisoning.
so
Everything
the-
was lead.
well, yes.
You took me to Bath.
Yes.
Bath, England.
Yes.
And they were like, "Hey, look at this! Look at this amazing bath they have. Everything is lead." They just kept saying everything is fucking lead because and that's where we get the term for plumbing.
Right. It's
Because
plumbum.
plumbum, which is the Latin word for lead, and that's why lead's symbol is PB. Because
Yes.
everyone was like, "It's lead. We got it today. It's in our Lunchables. We got microplastics in our balls. We're all here."
Yeah.
That just came out, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
Wait, what the fuck did you just say?
They just did a study, and they said 100% of all testicles that they have tested are full of microplastics.
Who is tasting?
Not tasting. Not tasting.
Not tasting, Mom. Not tasting. Not tasting.
Who is dissecting testicles and looking for this? That's
They're
what
just
I want to know.
looking around. They've been doing studies, and they're like, "Listen, we have not found a ball bag yet that doesn't have microplastics in
Oh
it."
no.
And so, just
The
be
Romans had lead.
The Romans had lead. That's what I'm saying. Is like just be happy that your grandson only has 2 eyes, right?
Right,
because
right.
who knows with these microplastics out
Oh
there?
know.
my god.
We don't know what we're doing. We're putting stuff in the water.
Okay.
What, did I go too far?
Yes, you went too far.
All right. Well, it's my mom.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Let's talk about balls.
I'm talking about balls. Listen, she gets weird. All right. She's gonna get weirder with this stuff.
Okay.
All right.
So, by the way, we actually know what was in them. Well, first of all, we have a recipe that somebody actually wrote down.
Yeah.
And then
we know the ingredients.
Yes, and then in 2009 in Pompeii, now that they're excavating, and it's modern, not from the 1800s, right? They
Yeah.
found in the Romans in Pompeii, they would, if you live in an apartment, how are you going to cook?
Yeah.
You don't have a stove.
Yeah.
You could have like a little portable, like a little brazier kind of thing that you could put some coal on, but you couldn't cook a lot because you would die of
Yeah.
Yeah, because of
that's
fumes
unfortunate.
and everything else. Yeah.
So they had all these little these little corner shops called thermopolia where you could go in and you could get food. Well, they actually found some amphora in a shop that were still sealed after 2,000 years. And now they can do, archaeobotany and archaeo whatever the food thing would be, and they can look in and see what was in it.
Archaeogourmandi.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sure it
archaeogourmandi.
probably had some weird,
Yeah.
crazy name.
But
so
they-
they open them up and they're doing like testing.
They
on
did
these
testing,
things.
and they were able to see, like this one. I think the fish were actually anchovies, and then the Romans used a lot of coriander, and modern Italians don't. But anyway, they had coriander and fennel. They went through a list of things that they had in there, and it was pretty interesting that they were able to do that. So that's another way we know is we find things, and particularly in Pompeii or Herculaneum where they were buried.
Yeah.
We can kind of see, like in the shops, when people say, well, how do you know what they ate in the shops?
Yeah.
Well, they had little pictures, and,
I have a question for
Yeah.
you. So there's a lady I saw on TikTok, and she has told me that Rome was not real and that
Okay.
it was invented in the 14th century and is part of a giant conspiracy.
Sure.
Can you answer to all of these questions right now?
Well, it's horseshit.
Okay. The second conspiracy is on TikTok that Pompeii was not actually ancient Rome.
Okay.
It was actually part of an ancient civilization that is being hidden under mud all across the world, and that is being hidden from us by, I don't know. We'll just pick a people that we could always, pin things on. Can you answer to that?
Another horseshit thing.
Okay, there we go.
First of all, I've climbed up Mount Vesuvius like it's a real volcano.
Yeah.
But
Mom,
we can actually date things.
But Mom, a guy on TikTok told me it was a mudslide.
Oh, I know, yeah.
To hide the Nephilim. Okay? It's to hide the ancient giants that are in the Bible, which is why the trans agenda is out here. That's what TikTok told me.
I feel like maybe we should uninstall this app from your phone.
We probably should.
Yeah,
it's probably be better for my mental health.
I am finding out that your TikTok algorithm is way worse than mine.
Yeah, no, it's mine. Okay. Mine's real fucking weird. Now, this is really interesting though when you get back into opening the amphoras and all this different stuff, and now they're digging through those things,
and they're able to find stuff. And like in the another one they excavated, they found like duck bones and porridge. They had shards where they thought for sure they had porridge because the Romans ate a lot of porridge. Like if you're poor, you just can't have meat and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I hate to get off the topic, but I was astonished to find out, what would you think gladiators ate?
Gladiators?
Yeah, what would you think if you were training to be a gladiator? What do you think you would be eating?
Boy kisses.
Boy kisses? I don't. But I think I'd be drinking a lot.
Yeah.
Because death.
Just meat. They need protein.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of meat.
Rabbits.
No, almost no meat. It was all porridges.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of legumes.
Oh, well, yeah, okay,
legumes.
all right.
Legumes, legumes, yeah.
Lentils.
Like lentils
beans.
and chickpeas and that, but that they were
now,
very heavy on carbs.
Is that because so many of them were slaves, or is that for any other
They just
reason?
thought it built them up. Well, it bulked them up, and that's just what they ate. And
it
was
like
successful.
their form of whey.
Yeah.
Like whey protein.
And it's got a lot of fiber, and it keeps you full.
Okay.
When I make lentils, listen, you're full for hours.
Yeah,
and also, if you have a lot of carbs, you put on a little fat there, so when you get stabbed, think about it.
Oh, protective layer.
Protective layer.
That's why I eat so many carbs, so I don't get stabbed.
Yeah, that's what it is.
In case Alex stabbed you.
Yeah.
In case Alex stabbed you.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. It's going to be, the stabbing is the opposite direction.
I understand where it's going to come from.
No, I know. It's a one-way stab, my direction. Did I ever tell you
allegedly? You're not going to hit the allegedly button on that one?
I'm not going to hit the allegedly. One of the first times I ever took her to the Wells Fargo Center in South Philly, we went there to go to a basketball game. We go to a 76ers game, and we're walking up, and we're getting towards the entrance, and she looks up. She goes, "Oh, shit, they have metal detectors here?" And she turns, and she starts rifling through her pockets and pulling out knives and storing them in a bush.
Yeah, there's a bush.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you doing?
No,
and she's like, I'm just going to put them in the knife bush. And I'm
because
like,
they make you throw them away.
Yeah.
If you go through the metal detectors, like, gotta throw them away. And I'm like, I'm not throwing these away.
But I was like, what do you mean the knife bush? And then we watch a basketball game. It was when the Sixers were really, really bad, so they really lost, and nobody was there to actually watch the Sixers. There to watch the other team.
Right.
So we watched them lose, and then we walked out, and then she reached back in and pulled 3 different knives out.
It's like a knife system.
Yeah, it was like a take a knife, leave a knife.
Yeah.
But that's
for knife people.
That's
I understand. I know. You poor suburban child who only had 7 TVs in his house. I mean, you suffered.
So,
all right,
this
here
is what
we go.
I showed up for.
Here we go. Here we go.
I did not prepare you for urban life.
No, you did not prepare me for knife bush over here. Maybe that should be the new T-shirt. It just says knife bush.
Yeah, look out for knife bush.
Yeah.
Listen, you just learn things. You spend money on knives, you don't want to have them thrown away by some security guard.
No, that's true. I understand that.
Yeah.
I felt the same way about lighters at the TSA.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You don't bring a good lighter with you. You only bring the shitty ones.
Okay, so back to business.
Okay, back to Roman food.
Yes.
Give us one more big thing, and then we'll take a break.
Okay,
what else you got?
so the other big thing I would say is that the idea of cooking, like if you were a Roman cook, which were mostly slaves,
Yeah.
You could actually win your freedom by you would do such a great job that people would tip you, and you could actually buy your freedom.
Oh.
Just that's a kind of cool thing.
Is this where tipping in restaurants was invented?
Maybe it was. but if you anyway, the other thing is that you can be pondering about while we take a break is that the whole idea of Roman cooking, like when I go to somebody's house, let's say I'm going to come to you and have dinner, say Thanksgiving, I would ask what are you serving, right?
Yeah.
What if you went to somebody's house and you didn't really know what you were eating because everything was disguised to look like something else? Like, I would just freak the hell out.
I'd feel like I'm at a vegan's house.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, are you saying, like, it would be a turkey meat, like a turkey drumstick? Or, like, they would pull all the meat off of a turkey and make it look like a goat? Like, what are we talking about? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So you're making a meatloaf out of turkey meat, but it's you shape it to look like a goat.
Yes.
So this feels like, is it cake or not?
Yes. Is it cake show?
This is it cake?
But meat.
But anything.
Anything.
And so you're about to sit down. You're like, oh, well, first thing, they wouldn't have turkey because I don't think, did they have turkeys back then? I feel like that's a North American.
I'm sorry, that was
North American.
She said Thanksgiving. I went right there.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry,
That's true.
right
No,
there.
I know,
I was
but I'm
just
just thinking,
there weren't turkeys.
pre-potato.
Sorry.
Pre-potato.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, anyway, you're sitting down. You're about to go eat a dormouse. And you're like, this tastes like pork. Like,
Well, it did because there was pork
I
in
know,
it,
I
but
know.
still.
Yeah.
but yeah.
But they would disguise. So as a cook, it was like whatever you were cooking, it was like a blank canvas. And
Yeah.
so people didn't know what they were eating unless you told them. And there was one famous, the Feast of Trimalchio, where the guy comes in. It's this very famous thing. And they come in and he's warned that everything in that meal or the one course is made out of one thing. And he guessed correctly. The Romans were gaga about pork. They ate a lot of pork.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know, things were disguised as other things, and I just couldn't survive that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like eating something and not knowing what it was.
They were like, oh, this is gluten-free bread. Psych.
You would be so screwed.
Yeah. Big
Imagine
time.
having an onion allergy. And there's some guy's just like, no, I'm not telling you.
Yeah, nope. You have to deal with it.
Yeah. Kids today, now you can't even have peanuts in school. Back then, they were like, today, everything is peanuts.
I honestly, it sounds really fun. Like it like
does.
No, in the creative process of like if I had to make a meal out of one ingredient, but then make each ingredient look like different things. Like I have to make everything look like a Thanksgiving dinner. Just to stick on that. Like
Yeah.
you have to use pork to make a pie. You have to pork to make green bean casserole. Like you would be really creepy and weird. Sorry.
It sounds very fun, but it also sounds like the type of fun that somebody who doesn't have any risk left in their life
Right.
when you got $10,000 left and you're just gonna kill
right.
yourself after this meal.
Yeah, that type of feel. But like that type of feel for it where you're like, we need to go. Like those people, there's like that one society that only wants to eat things that are almost endangered.
What?
You know, it's out there. It's like a rich people thing where like they go find things that are on like the endangered species list, and they have like these secret meetings, and then they
That's
go
such
to eat that type of stuff. But like that's like,
Did you hear that on Conspiracy Theory TikTok again?
No, I remember hearing this one back like before TikTok even existed. I'm pretty sure this is from like Conspiracy MySpace.
Okay.
But this is
like fluoride in the toothpaste conspiracy.
but in
No. This is more just like this is more like Eyes Wide Shut style parties, except like you're like, oh, we're only eating rhino. Do you know what I
Okay,
mean? Like,
yeah.
or what are we eating today? Gorilla
Republicans in name only.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, and
Wait.
and I just want to say the Romans ate a lot of really weird things because when you became wealthy, where else are you going to go?
brain. What else are you gonna do?
And by the way, the pork, though, the pig, they
didn't
ate
have
like
video
everything
games.
of the pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to tell you, it's one of their favorite things was the womb of a sow.
Oh my god.
And they ate the udders too.
What? I thought
And
the
they
scrapple
actually-
bit was going to be
No.
the weirdest thing I
They
could say.
ate, and they love brains of animals.
Oh god. Can I ask you a question? This as a history bastards, I'm so thrown off by what you just said.
I've never seen her this flabbergasted.
I can't even think about it.
Congratulations.
So okay, we know that the Romans are just crazy kooks who are full of lead poisoning, who are eating God knows what.
Yeah.
And then they're always going out and conquering. They're traveling all around and they're trying to conquer.
Just doing some
Do
wars.
you think that the other ethno-states and religions that they were running into started to look at these lead poison psychos and be like, we can't eat pork anymore. We got to take it off. Look how crazy the pork has made them because they were eating all this pork.
Because the other cultures, for the most part, had removed pork anyway.
Okay.
Because you can get worms from pork.
Yeah.
If it's not cooked properly, same thing with shellfish, is because of red tide. Like that's the reason why those are banned. I mean, mice are banned.
Yeah, mice are bad.
Under almost all religious dietary ones because again, you can't, much like that one type of blowfish. You know, the one that they're like, you have to cut it a specific way or you'll
so you don't
die.
get to poison them.
Yeah. Much like that, like there are ways to eat almost everything in the world where you can survive it.
Yeah.
But again, when you have a society and you don't want to deal with this happening constantly, and some people are dumb, you just put warning labels on stuff and you go, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
We're just not doing this. We're going to make a catch-all. Nobody's eating pork anymore.
Yeah.
And also it's just a way to deal with it in our society. And especially when you deal with like more desert-based societies where like you don't have cool spaces to store stuff.
Yeah.
You are going to have to use it immediately. You might not be able to store it in salt the same type of way. It becomes a bigger problem. And so that's the reason why a lot of those societies got rid of a lot of those pork-based things. But they also had lead too.
Oh, they had lead too. Okay, good. I'm glad that lead was
Because
just
lead's
everywhere.
just bendy. It took a long time before we realized lead bad.
Yeah. Oh.
And some people are unlearning that every day.
Well, have you ever tasted a paint chip? Delicious.
I've licked our walls. I've walked around this house.
Delicious.
Yeah. So with that, now that my mom has boomed us,
Yeah.
I think we're going to take a quick break. If you don't want to hear ads, you can always join us on patreon.com/Pearlmania500 or Pearlmania500.net. Or you can just sit back, watch these, and listen to these ads real fast, and we'll be right back with you. And we're back after being boomed by my mom repeatedly.
Oh, man.
And then you guys don't even want to know what she just told us off camera, off mic. She was sitting here, she just leaned in, and she's like, by the way, you want to know what they did with the intestines? And we're like, no!
I don't want to know. I didn't want to know. Now I know.
When I recut the intro, because I have to recut the intro, I have to put a trigger warning on this episode because of my own fucking mother. You know how crazy that is?
Yeah.
Okay, Mom.
Yes.
Magistra.
Yes.
What did the Romans do next? What do you have next for us?
Well, I think it's interesting. Remember, they didn't have refrigeration.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
when you go to one of these huge banquets, and we can talk about what rich people ate in a bit, and what you would do is you would take your own napkin.
Okay.
BYO
Because
napkin.
it's a doggy bag.
Oh,
And
yep,
so
yep.
since the food doesn't last, what you would want to do, like if you're a regular Roman, remember they had slaves for everything.
Yeah.
So how do you have income, and what do you do?
Yeah.
So what you would do is you would get invited somewhere for dinner, and then they can't keep the leftovers unless they had a cellar, but even this stuff doesn't keep. And you're supposed to be very generous as a host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would take your napkin, and by the way, for their Christmas, which was their Saturnalia,
Yeah.
our Christmas was like their Saturnalia, this big festival to Saturn. One of the gifts you would get are napkins. And I used to think, well, what the hell would they do with napkins? Well, they're your doggy bags, and you need a bunch of them because your whole goal as a poor person is to get invited out to dinner every night.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And how do you get invited out to dinner is to be witty. You're a fun guest to have. You say strange things, or you have some sort of.
I would have been pockets full of meat over here.
That would have been your purse chicken?
But are you telling me that I could have used my personality to fill my napkins with food?
I want you to know that you still can.
I can.
You can still
Just get invited to part. I mean,
we wouldn't go right now because we have a baby.
yeah, right. I think now that I think about it, I in my life have purposely gotten invited to parties just to eat.
Yeah.
And then taken food with me. Absolutely.
But I mean, like in our 20s, we used to get invited to party to drink.
Yeah.
And then, you might, maybe 3 beers or whatever ends up in your bag when you're
Mm-hmm.
leaving. But picturing the napkin, though, that actually does make sense because I'm like thinking of like the hobo bindle.
Yeah.
Like, you tie up the handkerchief around
Yeah.
the stick, except they would just tie it up and have their little bag.
Little
take
it's
it
like,
home.
yeah, it's
bag.
like the little coin purse.
I think it's fun that he's picturing like this.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm picturing almost a tablecloth size napkin. Like I'm picturing the Romans wearing what do they call the outfit?
The toga.
The toga. But
Wrap
me,
me
I
on.
have a second toga that's my napkin in quotes because
Yeah,
I'm wrapping.
'cause you
I'm
have a
taking
sack.
Yeah, I'm taking
You have
it,
a sack of
throwing it
food.
over my shoulder.
You're like, what's in there? You're like, it's a turducken of mice.
Yeah. We're gonna eat for a week on this.
Mice turducken.
This
We
is
have exactly 13 hours before it poisons our brains.
This reminds me of in high school when we would go away for was it senior week? Not senior week. It was like summer vacation stuff.
Yeah.
And we only had so much money to go down the shore, so we'd go to Wildwood, of course. And it'd be like 17 of us in one hotel room because again, no money.
Wildwood, New Jersey.
Wildwood, New Jersey.
Yep, the Jersey Shore.
And we had no money for the whole week, or I didn't have any money. So you had to like figure out, what am I spending it on? Aftershock cinnamon liquor or food? The answer was Aftershock cinnamon liquor and Jell-O shots. So what we would do is we'd all go to the Pizza Hut that was down in Wildwood.
Yeah.
And you'd go for the lunch buffet, which was all you can eat.
Ooh.
And you'd pay like $8 or something for all you can eat pizza, and then get a box of pizza slices and fill them because they will let you take to go.
Yeah.
So I would be like, listen, let's go. And I had like a JanSport backpack filling it with pizza slices, and for an entire week, breakfast, lunch, dinner was pizza.
Yeah.
So that I could have more money for the other
And
important things.
And now you're allergic to bread.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think
That's probably what happened. Is your body
I think it was a few high school summers of Pizza Hut pizza for breakfast, lunch,
nothing
dinner.
but Pizza Hut in a Super Size Me style dare.
Yeah.
And now you can't even be near bread.
Yeah, it's a consequence of my own behaviors. Yeah. But I'm saying I would have killed it in Rome.
That's what you're saying, is you would have gone from party to party.
Right.
Yeah.
And been like, this is so great. Blah, blah, blah. Nice dress.
I would just tell them the Pizza Hut joke.
And
let me tell you a crazy story as I'm filling up my toga with more snacks.
Yeah. That's amazing. Okay. What we got next?
Well, I was also just going to talk about like going to dinner. You
Yeah.
know, it's important. So they reclined when they ate. Wealthy people, not poor people. Poor people didn't have couches.
Yeah.
But they've actually found one of my favorite ones at Pompeii. Well, there's two of them. One is out. So the original, if you go to Pompeii now, the ocean is way out, but it didn't used to be. It used to be the shoreline.
Yeah.
And they actually had an outdoor dining room called a triclinium. They had these 3 big couch things, and you could put like 9 people on it.
Okay.
And depending on where you are on the couch is how important you are as a guest. But when they were outside, they would also have like water features to keep you cool in the summer because Pompeii's really hot.
Yeah.
Right. And so you would have your appetizers and dinner, and then they called it, the last course was called seconda mensa. At times they bring in like tabletops and put them down, and then your couch is reclined for you, like it's slanted, and you only ate with your right hand. So think about that. In a lot of cultures, using your left hand is bad because most people are right-handed.
Yeah.
I'm not, but anyway. So if you use your left hand for other things,
Bathroom.
Go to the bathroom.
Left hand bathroom.
and you use your right hand to eat. So everything was cut up. So they didn't have forks. They had spoons. You didn't need a knife because the slaves would cut everything up for you.
Yeah.
And then you would eat whatever, was at your little banquet. But
Did they have really terrible acid reflux? I can't lay down and
I
eat.
know. Well, again, not like us. So this is one of my stories that I told my students once. So your father was going on a business trip.
Okay.
And I was so stressed out because it was the spring and I had state convention and all this stuff coming up. It was 3:45 in the afternoon, and my crazy thought was, if I swing by Chick-fil-A right now, I can grab the bag, eat it before I get home, and I have dinner accomplished by 4:15. And then I had a moment where that's just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not dining. So if you go to Greece or Italy and you sit and eat in 45 minutes, they look at you like you are, well, they know who you are.
Yeah, but they know you're an American because I know we ran into that when we went to Greece on our honeymoon.
Right.
Because when we went on our honeymoon, I immediately became an enemy of the Greek people.
That's true.
I
love the Greek people.
Fuck them. I love the Turks. I'm 100% Turkey all the way because we went to Greece and we were on a cruise and we only have limited time.
Right.
And I just wanted to like eat, go see shit, and then we're getting right back on the boat. And like they know that we're there as tourists on a cruise ship and that we have limited time.
Right.
And so we order our food. Waiter brings it out. Takes forever, but it does come out. Food's delicious. Everything's fresh. It was like fresh caught fish. Everything was very, very good. Not complaining about that. Our waiter then vanishes. And we're sitting there. And we're sitting there. And we're sitting there. And finally I'm like, what the fuck do we even do here? And then finally like I flagged down a different waiter. And I'm like, where's our waiter? They're like, oh, he's gone. I'm like, what do you mean he's gone? Like his shift's over. I'm like, was nobody? I could have just left. Like, I just got so mad that Mrs. P and I actually joked about moving to Greece and starting a restaurant called Service, where we just give.
I think also, there was a few different scenarios where it was
there's
like,
a couple. This one was really bad.
Restaurants, like multiple times, we were just like. It was one of those things where we just wanted to pay someone.
Yeah, they
were
wouldn't.
like, I will give you all the money. I want to give you the money so I can have the coffee, so I can have the fish.
And this was also
it wouldn't happen.
This was also right after Greece had it was beginning to get over a major economic collapse.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're there with money. We have euros in our hand.
And
I
I don't
have a
want them.
credit card.
Right.
And they're
they
acting,
would walk away from you.
Yeah, and I'm like, just give me change. I'm like, that was what?
But then when we got to Turkey.
But when I got to Turkey, it was amazing. I would show up, I'm like, we're hungry. And they're like, sit. And I'm like, what can I have? Like, here's a menu. And like, oh, do you take Visa? Like, we take everything.
Yeah. They're like, we'll take rupees.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
They told me shekels at one point. I was like, this is incredible. And then the food was there. And then every few minutes, they just kept checking. They're like, hey, we know you're busy. Do you need to check right now? I'm like, no, we're actually really enjoying something. Like, cool. And that little check-in constantly. And I was like, yes, this is why there was an Ottoman Empire. So every Greek empire collapsed, but the Ottoman one stuck around for 1,000 years. And that, so we're pro-Turk over here.
Well, your mother's
when
not.
it comes to restaurants.
Let me just say this. Your mother's not, because
That's fine.
I absolutely adore Greece.
No, that's fine. You can be wrong.
Yeah.
It's
the food
listen,
is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, the food is. The food was
amazing.
good. I just wanted to pay for it.
I like the food better in Turkey. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not my son.
I like a crushed.
You're not my son.
I like a crushed chickpea and a pesto.
Yeah, I like a meat on a stick.
That was
There's a lot of meat on a stick
a lot of
out
good
there.
meat on a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What are the
Okay.
rich people doing? You keep saying we're going to talk about
Well,
these rich people.
yeah,
I want to talk
because-
about what they're doing.
Well, because
Lounging next to the beach.
not lounging next to the beach, or having, like, in the winter you had an indoor dining room, and in the summer you had an outdoor dining room
Yeah.
because you could.
Yeah.
And then one of the most famous outdoor dining rooms was from the Emperor Tiberius, and they discovered it not too long ago. Well, 1957 or something.
Not too
It's
long
in
ago.
Sperlonga, which is
Hold on. Not too long ago, and you listed a date that was older than some of our ancient Supreme Court justices.
well, I was 2. Like I said,
I know.
In the scheme of what
of
we're talking
2,000
about.
years, it's recent.
And, okay. It was,
That was
But
really funny.
but let me set the scene. So it's a cave, and he had this sculptor make these beautiful sculptures for it, right?
Okay.
yeah.
And then he had basically a fish pond all in front.
Oh.
And so you could actually pick the fish you wanted or whatever you wanted for dinner.
Oh, like when you go to the lobster restaurant.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
red lobster.
But it's fish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
And there's a very famous scene because part of the ceiling actually collapsed, and this man jumps on him and saves the emperor. And his name was Sejanus, and Tiberius winds up like making him the head of everything. And then Sejanus goes, "Well, you're not doing anything. Why am I not emperor?"
Yeah.
And so he tried to overthrow Tiberius. But that's another story.
That's from the show I, Claudius.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know. You made me watch it.
Yeah, I know.
I watched it.
You watched it.
I was too young to watch it, but I watched it.
But I mean, I was in Morocco, and
Yeah.
there was a house there that was a wealthy house, and they had a place where there was water in the house,
Yeah.
and they would have fish right there. So they had that. But then the other funny thing is, like, rich people today,
Yeah.
like, where is the place? There's some place, I don't know if it's New York or wherever, you could go and you could actually have gold in your food. I know I've seen that somewhere.
Oh
Yeah,
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 it's
I've
in a
seen
lot.
it
You
all.
can do it downtown Philly at the Barclay Prime.
Okay.
There's gold in the cheesesteaks there.
So
They have golden cheesesteaks?
Yeah, it's like the $100 cheesesteak, and it's got the best cut of beef. It's like Wagyu probably, and then like the best cheese, and then I think there's like gold flake put on top of
Yeah.
it. It's bullshit.
because you can.
I want garbage meat when I eat a
Yeah.
Great.
cheesesteak.
Hold on.
I want
Wait, time out.
garbage meat.
Time out.
Yeah.
Raise the taxes.
Yeah, really.
Immediately.
No, fuck this. Raise the taxes.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. Just raise the tax. It's just there's so many things when you hear about, you're like, why are you doing this? Because I can. Well, you shouldn't be able to. The
I
end.
just like that when it comes to the uber wealthy, nothing has changed.
no,
No,
Like
nothing.
no.
sitting on a beach, having someone chop up your food for you. I'm surprised they're not getting baby bird fed the food at this point.
Well,
Let's talk about baby birds.
Well, hold on. But she mentioned Tiberius and his island paradise, the island of
Yeah.
Capri. That was basically Epstein's island.
Oh, okay. Wow. All
Yeah,
right. I
no,
thought
I
it
mean,
was
like-
a food episode, man.
No, but real quick, you want to talk about rich people? Like, that is the same place, except
Yeah.
he was the controller of the known world. Like, we have records of it, and
Yeah.
it's horrific. Do not go
Yes.
into the description.
No,
I know
no.
you know them.
But there is a fish story where a guy catches this beautiful fish, and
Mm-hmm.
supposedly Tiberius is up on this little promontory, nobody can get to it.
Yeah.
And he climbs all the way up this harrowing thing to get to the top.
Yeah.
Hands the fish to Tiberius, and Tiberius pushes him off because he didn't know anybody could get up there. The whole point was he was safe up there.
oh, so this guy catches a fish. He's like, "You're my emperor. I'm bringing you
Yeah,
a fish."
exactly. And then he
And
pushes
Tiberius is
him off.
like, "Nobody can
Yeah,
know."
yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah,
And that's why you don't do nice things for people.
This is no, exactly.
exactly.
Oh wow.
But let's get back to weird things that
Yeah.
people ate.
Yes. Okay. You're
So-
about to say birds.
Yes,
Yeah, baby birds.
So they really liked birds, and they would take small, like, thrushes and stuff and cook them and eat them.
Okay.
So on top of that, the thing that I found the grossest, so, they conquer Africa and all that. There are ostriches
Oh, no.
So one of the emperors, Elagabalus, actually for a feast had 600 ostriches killed for their brains. And they ate ostrich brains. What? And they really like flamingo tongues. What? So there's like recipes for stuff.
Time
You're
out.
saying birds and then parts of birds I wouldn't want to eat.
Wait. Flamingos have tongues?
Yes, I didn't know that either, but they do because the Romans like to eat, wealthy people like to eat them. So when you went to somebody's house, it's not only the quantity of food, it's not only the fact that you disguise the food, it's that you have all this weird food to prove how you can get stuff nobody else can get.
Yeah. Okay.
So think about that.
Oh, no, I don't want to. I don't want to. It's like just eat the wings and the legs and the breasts like everybody else.
No, but like I said, going back to the pork thing, they had like 50 different parts of pork that could eat.
It's big.
Brain? I mean, an ostrich brain, though.
Yeah, it's probably like this, right?
Like a
football.
Nerf football?
No, ostrich head isn't that big.
I'm thinking like a small Nerf football brain.
No, I think it's more like an
Here's my question.
Yeah.
Right?
But they eat brains a lot of animals.
I know, okay. Well, when they're eating these brains, right, does it end up being like a noodle? Or are they cutting it up?
Is it a sweet dish or a savory dish? These are important.
I'm just wondering.
Is it a frozen dessert served in a bowl?
No. It's not frozen. It's usually, it's cooked different ways. The Romans used a lot of sauces.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
So you could disguise flavors.
Did the Italians finding out about noodles, is that what stopped them from eating so many brains?
Yeah, I think so.
Were the Romans just like bird zombies?
Yeah.
Did they bird flu at this point?
Wealthy people had aviaries where they would keep birds, and then they would cook little birds. They liked little birds. I mean, the whole idea was, again...
I mean, it is weird that we only eat chicken. It is like chicken and turkey. Yeah. But like that is
and duck.
And duck. But like those are lesser.
Not a lot.
But not the same. Like we really do. Like we doubled down on chicken. We found chicken, and then we were like everything is chicken.
It's just easy to care for.
Yeah.
In large. I mean, we could do geese. We could do geese better. Because geese is a bigger bird.
Yeah.
The thing is that they're just really mean, and nobody wants to take care of them because they're so mean. And they're
the nicest. We actually saw the nicest geese we ever saw the
we
other
went to
day.
the library the other day, Martha.
Right.
And Magistra, and we park, and there's this man with his child standing out front of the library, and he's pointing at the geese, but he's very close to the geese, and I'm immediately nervous because you don't get close to geese.
Because the kid's like maybe 6.
Yeah, little kid. And I'm like, why are you so close to this geese, man? Get away from them. And then I look out there, and there's all these little baby Goslings. Ryan Goslings. There's like 6 of them. And then there's a teenager geese, like the little, like they're still fluffy but big. They look like chickens.
Yeah.
And then I thought I was like,
but the whole time
good.
we were like, wow, because usually Canadian geese, like even if you're on the same lawn as them, they're already hissing and flapping and coming at you. Yeah. They weren't doing that. They were just kind of like, all right, yeah, just don't mess with our kids.
Come over here.
And I was like, this is weird.
I was like, dude, you got to get away from them.
Peacocks are mean too.
Yeah.
Peacocks
they just run the zoo.
Did the Romans eat peacock?
I think they did.
Probably did.
They ate ibises and peacocks and all sorts of weird stuff. Oh, the other weird thing they did was they liked eels.
Ew, what?
Wealthy people.
No.
And people still eat eels today.
I had eel at David's Melee Wall.
Well, and sushi and all that stuff, yeah.
So one guy was really wealthy at his favorite eel, and he actually put like jewelry on it.
Okay,
this is just because he could. But I've just read that
So you're
story.
telling me he had a fish tank at his house where his eel lived, and then he put little necklaces on it?
Yeah, on his favorite eel.
That's my favorite eel.
I'm picturing an eel all dripped out.
Yeah.
like with like heavy chains.
Yeah. How did you hold it down to get the necklace on it?
I don't know, but it had like
other part
earrings
of it is like for some reason this eel has rings. I don't know why I pictured the eel with 5 rings on each hand.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, just ooh. Yeah.
I like that. So like that's just the Pomeranian of then. You know,
Yeah.
like we're just
a little purse
bedazzling
dog.
our
The little purse dog. Yeah.
He's like, look at my beautiful eel.
My favorite eel.
What could the eel have done to become the favorite?
I don't know. Well, they did have the one guy. His name was Polio. Augustus came to eat. And the Romans, if you're wealthy, you're not serving. If you saw Indiana Jones, if you remember in the Last Crusade, they're looking for the cup of Christ. And the one guy picks up the jeweled one. Of course, he was a carpenter.
Yeah.
Crappy cup, right?
Yeah.
So, but wealthy people, of course, didn't have crappy cups. They actually had real glass. And Roman glass is hard to find because it breaks like everything else.
Because it's glass.
But they have some beautiful glasses that the Romans made that they found. Well, anyway, the slave breaks a glass.
Uh-oh.
And Pollio goes, I'm going to feed him to the eels. Because apparently some eels will eat human flesh. Didn't know that, did you?
No.
And Augustus was so horrified by it that what he made his people do is take all of Pollio's glass and break it. He goes, you're upset about one piece of glass being broken. Watch this. And so he destroyed all of his glasses.
I like that in these stories there's always so many petty bitches.
Yeah, there are.
So many petty bitches.
That's the thing, is pettiness always survives.
Yeah.
Like that. But think about how many meals the Emperor Augustus had where this didn't happen, so nothing was written down. But this one dude was like trying to show off. He's like, "Oh, you break one of my glasses?" And he's like, "I'll break all your glasses." What are you gonna do?
Bet.
What are you gonna do?
Bet. You want to treat your slaves poorly?
Watch
I'm
this.
also going to treat my slaves poorly.
Yeah.
Is what he's really saying.
Yeah.
But I'm going to also treat you poorly.
Yeah. How
and
dare
push that guy off a cliff?
How dare you do the institution that we all follow poorly?
Yeah. Boo.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're eating our birds. We're
Yes.
eating eels. We have fish ponds that are in our outside
The one
of our
thing is, I
house.
do remember with eating the birds though, they're little birds.
They're little birds,
and they
yeah.
like eating them bones and all.
Yeah, like the thing where you have to put the blanket over your head. That thing.
What?
Okay, there's like this. Oh my god, I wish I would have known we were going to talk about eating birds.
Okay.
There is this bird that people eat to this day, and it's like a very specific type of bird, and you have to cook it in I think it's French. You have to cook it in a very specific French way, and the people that eat it historically, like they know it's a sin against God to eat this bird, so they'll cover their heads with a napkin. While you have to eat it under the napkin, like. So you're covered, and the dish is close to your face, and because God can't witness you eat this bird. Oh. It's a thing, and I don't remember what
Because
it's
God
called.
can't see around a napkin? If God can't see around a napkin, he's not a god.
Okay.
I just want to throw that out there.
Well,
Not that he's not omnipotent. Oh, hold on. Let me commit some war crimes. Throw the napkin up. All right.
well. Anyway, I'm just saying that's people still eat those birds.
People still eat those birds. That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I remember watching the TV show Rome on HBO, and there was a scene where this lady like just picks up like a fried like little bird.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're like ah. And they in the show they tried to make it look crazy because they'd be like, oh look how vicious she
sounds
is.
good.
But it was just like eating a chicken nugget.
Yeah.
It was, again, it's fried bird.
Or like when you go to like certain parts of Asia and they have like the small like frogs and stuff like on a street vendor style stick of meat.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, all right. Small
I'm
bird.
more weirded out that the bones are in there.
Yeah.
That's the part that actually gets me. It's the bones. It's like when you get fried shrimp and they haven't deshelled it.
Oh, you gotta deshell.
I hate I know that it's okay, and I know in some cultures like leaving the shell on shrimp is completely fine.
Adds more flavor.
That's fine. It grosses me out. I just want the meat part. I was always raised in the you remove the tail.
No.
So like leaving the tail on always weirds me out. So like sometimes, especially when I go to like a sushi place, they still leave a little bit of the tail on. Like I'm going on my way to like bite around it, and I can see the sushi chef being like, "You're supposed to eat that."
Just chew it up. It's a little crunchy bit.
And I'm like, "No, I don't want that.
Crunchy bit.
It makes it weird."
Okay,
still
tell us more about recipes.
Okay, so anyway, the other thing about
Sorry, we had a moment.
I know, that's okay. I had a thought, and of course you all just, whatever. Oh, I know. The other thing that I learned, so I got to learn something, because I never know where these conversations are going to go. So like I need to know everything there is about food.
Yeah.
Apparently, as the Romans got richer, because they started conquering Greece and all these places and getting all these slaves, and they had all this money, right? Mm-hmm. People started doing what people have been doing. I think about your wedding and how you cut costs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you were only going to spend what you could afford.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you think about, I remember like 20 years ago, which is nothing now. Your father and I went to a $100,000 wedding.
Yeah.
Okay. So they actually passed laws in the 100s, in the second and first century BC, about how much you could spend on feasts. Because they thought it was excessive, because Romans were brought up to be frugal, like the early Romans. It's sort of like America back when you got the good old days when, women stayed at home and all that kind of crap.
But it's also, that idea of like because we've talked about it before actually in the Founding of Rome episodes we did a long time ago about like the settler soldier.
Yeah.
And like all this different stuff. And everyone's supposed to be a farmer soldier. It was the same thing in America with like Thomas Jefferson was like, everybody should just be a farmer. And then occasionally you do some politics. Occasionally you conquer a little bit more of the continent. That's just kind of what you do. But then they got away from that. So
as people got wealthier, they started doing what wealthy can do, which is whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And spending outrageous sums. So they actually passed laws that you could only spend so much per person or so much on a wedding feast or whatever. And you know what the rich people did?
What'd they do?
Whatever they wanted.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it a fine?
Because it was supposed to be, but you know what you could do? Like they would say,
just pay the fine.
Just
they
pay
would
the fine.
say, Alex, your son, baby Mania, is grown up and is getting married.
Yeah.
You spent too much on pork for your wedding. You would say on his wedding, you would go, but I own the farm. Like, how are you going to prove I spent too much?
See, and I was thinking it's baller.
This is why we need a wealth tax. Okay,
Yeah,
this
wealth
is where
tax.
Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are correct. We need to come in here. No, that makes total sense because they're like, no, I sold the pig to myself for a penny.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of paying $1.50 per pound, I bought the whole pig for a penny.
Because they all own land. Because, if you
that's
think
why
about,
you're rich. Back then it was land ownership.
If you think about it now, what, in case no one knows this, in America is going on right now. Like I own a little farmland that has been passed down through generations, right? And I get letters all the time trying to buy it. These multinational corporations are buying up farmland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you think food costs a lot now, just wait. But, you don't have to sell to them, but that's what they're doing. And that's what happened that's why people started moving into Rome and all these apartments where they couldn't buy food, right? Because all the land was bought up by these wealthy people, right? And then they had slave labor. It was cheap because they, you buy a bunch of slaves, they have more slaves, you have free labor. So they had these huge farms, and so people moved into the city. And of course, now you've got another problem where you've got all these people who don't have jobs, who can't get jobs because slaves do everything.
Yeah.
So now you have to hand out free food.
Yeah, you have for the grain dole.
Right. So the very famous phrase, of course, is panem et circenses, which means bread and circuses. And it works even today. So think about it this way. How many people are going to revolt if they can feed their kids and they have entertainment?
Yeah.
Yep.
And the answer is very few.
Very few.
So that's why the emperors built, the Colosseum and all these theaters and all these horse tracks, like the Circus Maximus. And every day you could get a bread line. Yeah. And then again, if you were smart and you knew people, if you had a patron, you would go to their house. So let's say Dad and I are your patron, right? Mm-hmm. And then we would have somebody that we would go to. So the whole idea would be that all day long you're getting like little gift baskets, and people would actually try to sell them on the street. So there was a whole thing going on where people got free food.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you go to the party, you fill up your toga with snacks, then you go outside, you start selling the snacks you just got for free.
Yeah.
Bing, bang, boom.
And then you flip that into an NFT.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got to get the people in your downline.
Yeah.
But then there's a whole, it's not so, we always think about that was then and this is now, but there's so many things that are the same.
Yeah.
I mean, they are.
No, it is. It's very, very similar. Well, you mentioned patrons.
Yeah.
And that's why we actually have a gift for our Patreons this week that you have helped with, which you actually pulled up 5 different recipes that you have put together, ancient Roman recipes.
Right.
That we're going to list up there. And I don't have the list in front of me right here, but there were ones that you've worked with students before and worked with other different people, and that you've kind of tweaked over the years. And these are ones that are actually not gross.
Mm-hmm.
There's
mice,
no
birds.
Mice, there's no birds, there's no brains.
There's like a tuna steak in there. I saw that one. What was the globby?
The globi are like donut holes.
Okay. Yeah. So it's
and again, rolled in honey with poppy seeds, because apparently that's like a thing.
But
I had to fix stuff for the competition for the kids. First of all, the people eating it have to like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I also, if you're going to get a bunch of kids to cook after school, they got to eat whatever they cooked.
Yeah.
So in general, I didn't make the tuna steak because tuna costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I did a chicken. There's a pork dish.
I remember you making the tuna steak once for us.
It's Dad's favorite dish.
Yeah. No, it's really good because it has a sweetness to it. It's a tuna steak. It's a thicker cut.
Yeah.
That was really, really good.
That's my favorite of all of those.
Yeah.
And then the globy, and then they would fry dates. And, so there's just some stuff. There's a book you've got a reference to that it was published in 1992. But what's great about it is she took the list from Apicius, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she actually cooked it and gave amounts. And you can tweak the amounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you could add, instead of using garum, you can use that Thai fish sauce, or you could just use a little salt or a little garlic.
Yeah.
Romans didn't use a lot of garlic for whatever reason.
Yeah.
What?
By the way, they didn't. The other funny thing to
That's
me
because
is,
listen,
Hold on.
That's because the Italians of these days, they were conquered by the Visigoths. You
oh,
see, in the
having bad
Visigoths-
breath was considered really bad at a dinner party. So there's that.
They're
Oh.
eating fermented fish paste, and you don't want them to have bad breath?
I guess you don't have bad breath from that.
What?
But
What's the what?
What is I want to know what the line is then.
What's the stink line?
If eating rotted fish, salted
We're putting
rotted
the
fish
salted
paste.
rotted fish juice on everything.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Let me. I got some dormouse in my teeth. Do I smell bad?
okay, think about all the people like your father who put ketchup on. Do you know who puts ketchup on turkey?
Ew, what?
Listen, I don't.
Why do we
I
let
don't-
that man in this house?
Well, right now he's watching the baby.
Oh,
downstairs.
right.
That's why we let him in the house.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, I've seen people put ketchup.
we don't
on
even have
eggs.
ketchup in this house.
Who puts ketchup on eggs? But there are people who do that.
There are. Probably
I know a lot of
sorry,
people put
yeah.
ketchup on eggs.
That's gross.
I know.
Not here.
Well, listen, I'm not going to fight with you on
I'll
this.
fight. I'll fight
I'm
you.
agreeing
It's
with
gross.
you. We are not a ketchup household. You and I have run into this argument many times,
Right.
Magistra, because you've come over and you've had French fries. You said, "Oh, just give me some ketchup," and I'm like, "We don't have it."
We don't have
I know.
Because you like to put it on your French fries. I don't like ketchup under any circumstances.
Same. Nope.
So the only thing I like ketchup on is when it's baked into a meatloaf, because that's just how like that's supposed to have like that.
It has that
top,
thick
that top
layer
thing
of
of
ketchup.
but it's like
burnt
cooked
ketchup.
in.
Yeah.
It's like
cooked in, and then you, yeah.
yeah.
That's a burnt thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I bet the Romans would have been like meatloaf. Gross.
No, they would have loved it. They'd been like a little bit of mouse, a little bit of
Yeah.
ostrich,
Yeah,
a little bit of bird,
No,
a
Yeah.
little bit
what's
of
going to be
eel.
in there, right?
Oh, you know what we should do? We should shape it in the shape of a
Fruit basket.
Yeah.
So that you come and you're like, oh, it's so hot out. Let me get a little grape.
yeah.
And then bing, it's ostrich
Yeah.
meat.
Ostrich
It's honestly,
ball.
it's just a prank. It's a prank show at that point.
Yeah.
It's the Is It Cake show.
It
but,
is.
Whoa, but that one where the gal sat on the chair and she's like, is this fucking cake?
Yes.
It's that.
Yeah. Magistra, I have a question for you, because you did ask us a really leading question when you walked
Yes.
in the door. You asked us who Salty Bay was.
Yeah.
You're like, do you know who Salty Bay is?
I had to look him up.
I know, but you asked us that and then like looked at us like, ooh, and we're like, yeah, it's a 7-year-old meme. And his name's Salt Bay.
Salt Bay.
So I want to know, why did you ask me that?
Because when I was talking to today this morning, I was telling her I was coming over.
Yeah.
And she said, we were talking about, rich people and what they did.
Yeah.
And she mentioned this guy.
Oh, because his restaurant's super expensive.
We were talking about rich people and what rich people do. And I said, people always ask, like, it's crazy that they would come up with, these eating
See, the
small
interest-
birds. And
yeah.
but rich people, you want to do it because you want to show, like the phrase in the 60s was keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
But I just grew up in a small town, and we have a different sort of whatever.
Joneses. I think it's interesting nowadays because the back then the sign of wealth would be to eat as much as you could and really just like live in the gluttony of it all and
Right.
show off and have
Yeah.
these big parties, and vomit up what you didn't so you could eat more.
Yeah.
That whole thing. But like nowadays, the truly wealthy show their wealth by not eating,
Yeah.
and it's like, look how easy my life is. Look how wealthy I am that I don't have to eat. Like I
Yeah.
only have to eat the most expensive, perfect vegetables and
I'm on the
proteins.
cubed mushroom diet.
Yeah, I eat very specific small portions
Yeah.
because that shows my wealth of like,
Yeah.
I don't have to, like, I always thought about it when I was working at this one restaurant downtown. I always had to like bring my lunch, and I always like pack a little lunch for myself. And I would see the ladies that lived in that area who were very well off, and they would always come into that restaurant for lunch, and they would buy they'd get the smallest portion salad or whatever, and but they never had to carry anything with them. It's like part of not having money is to have like a bag of stuff. You have to have things on you, and you have to have your wallet and all this stuff. And like when you're very wealthy, you don't even need a coat. Because
Yeah.
you're getting in a car, or all you need is a credit card,
Right,
because you can
right.
buy food at any place.
I thought about that when I first moved to the city. Was the difference in like the jackets I would wear versus
Yeah.
being in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Like it didn't matter how cold it was living in the suburbs, because I'm going from my house to a car to the building.
Yeah.
And the only reason I would wear a thicker jacket is if I was shoveling the driveway during a snowstorm, or if I'm like going to the mall around Christmas and I have to park far away. But like you always end up with that
and
thought
then you
of,
met me, and I'm in a sleeping bag that goes down to my ankles.
yeah, I know, exactly. Well, and that was the thing, is when I started working in the city and I would take the subway, so I was like, okay, I have to walk 4 blocks to the subway and then take the subway and then sit on there. So I'd have to have my bag. And it's like, once I leave the house, I'm not 10 minutes away by car. And I
Yeah,
also, like, the car is its own storage unit.
Yeah.
So, like, you lose all those different things. And so it's that
Yeah.
same sort
But
of
yeah, so it was
thought
always
process.
very interesting to me that when the wealthier people get, the less things they have to carry on them, and the less food they allow themselves to eat, because that's part of showing off your wealth, is that like,
Yeah.
I don't even have to eat. Like I can afford health insurance.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
There's like a whole other aspect of it.
Yeah.
where
But also the food has to be exquisitely presented.
Yeah.
So when you go to the
Yeah.
really fancy. So
Yeah.
what's that thing in Italy right now they're filming on the Food Network? Ciao?
We don't have cable.
It's not Ciao. Okay, well, there's this competition where they take all these people to Italy.
Okay.
Okay. And so they had the first group of 12 cook, and they had 45 minutes to make a dish that represents
Oh, okay,
them,
so it's-
right?
got it.
And the one guy makes like veal parmesan or something.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, and he makes it, there's eggplant parmesan. And so he makes this exquisite little piece of eggplant. It's beautifully presented, and he keeps as he takes it up, before he takes it up, he goes, mine is the most beautiful. And so they take a bite and they go, eggplant Parmesan. I don't taste any Parmesan. He goes, well, I didn't think I would need the Parmesan. And you see the other people who are, competing against him looking at each other like,
wait, he didn't put the cheese on it?
He used other cheese. He didn't feel that the eggplant needed the Parmesan. And they go, it's literally the name of the dish.
It's in the name.
And needless to say, he would have out of the 12, he would have been the second person to go.
Yeah.
Except they decided to give everybody another chance. But he was just, I cook all this elevated food and I make the most beautiful food.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but
I want to go on a cooking show so bad.
I know you do.
And you would do so well.
I would thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I
want
to go. I want to go on a cooking show.
You've been talking about it for decades.
I want to go on a chopped style one.
Yeah.
Where it's like, here's your 6 ingredients, figure it out. Because that's what I do every day in the kitchen. I just look at, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And then somehow I make things happen.
Well, speaking of making things happen,
yes,
we have made it happen on this episode.
Okay.
And I think we're reaching the end. So, to everybody out there, it's been a good part. We're going to cut away here in just a minute, and we're going to thank all our Patreons. But Magistra, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to send to the people out there that are listening to you or watching us on YouTube?
Well, I love my son. I love Mrs. Pearlmania.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I love baby Pearlmania.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
have made your father and I the happiest people on earth.
Oh,
The two of you.
that's so nice.
See?
That's a nice thing.
It's like comment section in real life.
I know. That's, you know what? That's the type of parasocial relationship I'll accept. So with that, we are going to, Mrs. Magistra is going to step away, and we are going to give our shout outs to all of our Patreons, our new team leaders this week. Thank you guys so much for everybody, and we'll be right back right after these messages.
Pearlmania, 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 Pearlmania.
500, and we're back here. 500.net, Pearlmania, blah, 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 blah. You guys know how to find it. If you want to join our Patreon. Yeah. That was a fun time with my mom, right?
It was wild.
She's downstairs with the baby now. She's very excited about it.
I think she just kind of sat in here with us because we wanted her to. She was just like, as soon as we
the
hit
second
cut,
I was like, she burst out of the room. She's like, I need to touch that baby.
Where's that baby at?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
she's motivated to. She's like, I'll do your little podcast or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it means, I get baby time. She actually was like kind of mad that she's in the house and not holding the baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 patrons to greet this week. You ready for it?
Yeah.
So the first one is immediately a reference to our book club episode from last
the
week.
most recent book club episode.
The most recent one. Could_B_in_pharma_sales.
Hey,
Could be in pharma sales.
Listen,
is such
gorgeous, pretty.
We love it. We love it.
The vibes are immaculate.
This next one feels particularly targeted at you.
Oh, for me. Okay, cool.
Yeah, right. Their name is Professional Stabber. Let's go.
Oh, I would love for more elaboration on what the job title is. What does the Indeed listing look like for professional stabber?
I feel
and
like
when do I apply?
Yeah, it feels.
Do you need a cover letter? I don't like writing cover letters, but what I would do is I would just stab a piece of paper and mail it to you.
After that, we have Steamy Hot Lore Junkie.
Hey, on.
We're getting some good ones here, and let me throw out some quick lore right now.
Yeah.
I have the new air conditioner in the window because
That's right.
we finally actually figured out the right air conditioner that can be on during a recording, that it's not too loud, it doesn't get picked up in the mics in the same way. We finally got that all together. That's right.
We're elevating this, I'm using air quotes, podcast studio to new levels.
Yeah, this room.
There might be a blanket up over our window. A free blanket I got as an Ulta gift with a purchase of perfume for someone.
So that way the wall can have the correct streamer bisexual lighting behind it on the YouTube channel. But yeah, exactly. Or on the Patreon, wherever you're watching it. Up next, after Steamy Hot Lore Junkie, we have Margaret F. Bonafide.
Oh, hey, hon.
Hello. You're bona fide.
Bona fide. Certified.
And finally,
okay,
for our final Patreon of the week, let's give a big shout out and a hello and a hey hun to Grace Dayton.
Grace Dayton. Hey, hun.
Grace, how are you doing today?
Dates. We were just talking about dates as Magistra was leaving the room.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the recipes she
she
gave
printed
us
them
have
out
a lot
and handed
of
to you.
dates.
Yeah.
And I love a date.
Yeah, and there's going to be a PDF file, like I said. Mm-hmm. Or a PDF or Word. I don't remember how it's going to look, but it's going to be attached on the Patreon, attached to this episode for everybody who wants to access
for anyone
it.
that makes the recipes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
The Globies. The Globies look good.
The Globies do look good. I'm telling you, the steak is good. The tuna steak is very good.
Tuna steaks got 10 to 15 dates chopped in, wine, olive oil, vinegar, honey, celery seeds, and mint. All right, listen, it could be done.
It's very good.
It could be done. I'm just saying I like a fried dough, but gluten-free fried dough is a whole
I feel like the
animal.
tuna steak one that she cooked, she used to cook it in like one of those clay pot things with like a lid, because again, that's like also like that style of cooking. You got to do them in one of those things.
I love it. She lives for the whole vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't do LARP except for this one thing.
You couldn't explain LARP to her except for like, okay, but let's do about Romans.
Imagine how you cooked. She'd be like, oh, all right. So with that, thank you to all of our Patreons. Thank you to everybody who's been joining us week after week. Thank you for everybody for your wonderful comments on every single episode. I do like on our last episode that we had a secret password.
Oh, a secret word for the
and
end of the
I want to
episode.
continue doing that.
You want to keep doing it every time?
I feel like we should have one that they yell out. This week, though, Mrs. Peelam, let me put you on the spot.
Oh, no.
What should the secret word be?
I want it to be like something about the episode. So like baked potato mouse.
Baked potato mouse?
Or just potato mouse.
I think potato mouse.
Potato mouse.
Potato mouse. The secret word of the day is potato mouse. All right. And with that, thank you guys so much. And we will see you all next week.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.